Hey everybody, so I am back today with my Muskets and Tomahawks Civillians, the general group of civilians that I've been working on complete. So what I'm just going to do is show some of them in groups, and I'll show a couple of close-ups. I still have the gentlemen and lady civilians that need to be done, so I'll be doing those in the future as well. But this is sort of the first group. And so these are the, well, I just call them the militia because they're actually armed civilians. And so I do have the gentleman in the front who's meant to be a civilian leader. He's got a pistol. And I have the other guys here. I think I was able to mix them up pretty good. Actually, when you sort of look at it all together, some of the shirts and stuff are the same, but they're kind of dressed quite a bit differently. I'll show some, I'll just do the close-ups as I go along. So here's, I actually just finished him. But this is the, so I gave him really the most colorful outfit, sort of like, he's, I think, meant to be sort of like an up-and-coming mayor or something like that. But he's like the leader, you know, of the civilian militia, potentially the leader of the group. And there's another guy here. This is the only other one that I gave a little bit of color. I actually gave him a bit of a red shirt, or it's really a dark red, but okay. So I'll start showing some of the others. So here are some general laborers. They don't really have a theme that puts them together. I think I would use them in different spots, but here's a guy with a broom. I think because he has a coat, I likely have showed him already, so maybe I should show somebody else. Here's a guy with a shovel. Okay. And I also have some guys that are more, these are also laborers just like the others, but these guys, I did their bases a little bit differently. I mean, I haven't used a lot of grass. I wanted to keep it mostly dirt and sticks and rocks and stuff, but I gave these guys more of like a hay colored grass versus green, just because these guys are working close to where the crops are. So and then I have two of these guys with reapers. The other guy, this guy, I actually posed him to have it upright, which you could almost argue he's maybe using it more as a weapon than actually as a, or he's just transporting it, you know, than he's reaping. But I wanted to make him look different. This is the way I believe it's supposed to be posed, and the way they show it on the website from Minden Miniatures, holding it down like he's taking a swath. Okay, and then lastly, I just have these two guys here, which I think I'm going to have to actually store these guys together like this, because it's a bit hard to actually get their hands and hold this without taking paint off and things. And so I think what I'll likely do is just maybe cut out a piece in a storage if I have them in like a foam thing, just to cut out a section so they're actually just stored side by side with holding the box. But so yeah, so there they are. Show one more here. I'm pretty happy with the choice of these guys. I have noticed that if you're interested in the Minden Miniatures, they are more, I find them to be more like a true scale 28mm versus like a heroic scale. If you look at the height, it's probably not much different than Conquest or some of the other minis I'm going to be using, but they're definitely less bulky. And in some cases it might be a little bit shorter, but because these are civilians and that's what I'm primarily using them as, not as combatants on the field, unless, like a scenario calls for that, I actually think they'll work good, next to each other. They won't be directly next to the other guys, and also just, they'll stand out as civilians that way too. So I will be using this kind of base for all of my muskets and tomahawks. I got a whole bunch of these, and so, like they will be on the same base as the other brands that I'll be using. The only other thing I'll mention that I thought was really cool, and I don't know if you can get an appreciation for it here, but I use plaster, which I have used in the past for various things, but I haven't routinely in the past used it on my bases. I know a number of folks that do on YouTube. Because I was looking at doing ground cover, the plaster was mainly just to blend in. Sorry, just to blend the stand that they're standing on in. It wasn't for any other purpose, but having done it, a side effect that I noticed, and this might not be the best one to show, but when I applied sand and some larger pebbles, before I put the grass on, you might see it. An example would be here. Let me just take a pen so I can just point it. Right there is plaster, right there. That line there. It actually makes almost like a root and stick kind of appearance on the ground, mixed in with your pebbles and stones, which was unintentional but just seemed to work out really good for me. Let me see if I can show it. Like, it's really random, but there it is too. And so I was really impressed because I use Agrex Earthshade on this. I basically used sand, pebbles, the plaster was down, Agrex Earthshade over everything. I actually found I got a really nice ground covering that looked more than just pebbles, like in sand and things, and I've just got like a little bit of grass there. That's kind of what I wanted. I didn't want it covered in grass, but I got like almost sort of like a really woodsy outer edge of the woods look, with like almost like roots and tree stump kind of looking things, just from the plaster. And so clearly, if I was wanting this to be just a flat floor like in a room, and that's what I was going for, it wouldn't have worked out well. But because I was going for this look, it sort of by happenstance worked. I am quite pleased with the way it came out. So yeah, interested in other folks' comments. I know that using plaster to cover your bases isn't revolutionary or anything like that, but when washing it like that and then adding the sand and things, I think it gave a nice natural look in the end. Pretty random too. So okay, hope everybody's week's going well, and more Musket and Tomahawks videos will be coming up in the future. Take care.